Before we begin, a quick reminder to kindly mute your microphones to avoid any unwanted distractions. Let's set the tone with some positive energy. Feel free to share your excitement using the reaction emojis. I'm sure all of you can't wait to get started. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed audience members, and to our speakers. Welcome to the SPE-UTM Talk 2025, brought to you by the Society of Petroleum Engineers, University Technology Malaysia Student Chapter. We are honored to have with us today Nur Iman Christina binti Ahmad Ramli, Administrative Secretary of SPE-UTM SC, and our distinguished speakers, Ms. Shahida Sulleh, Senior Reservoir Engineer from Petronas Cari Gali Sendirian Berhad, and Mr. Sarran Raaj, Senior Production Technologist from Petronas Cari Gali Sendirian Berhad. We are thrilled to have the distinguished speakers share their expertise and insights with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, with spirits aglow, we gather tonight for a journey to know. I, Mekari Michael, your MC, with delight in my heart, shall guide this evening where wisdom takes part. Through words and ideas, we'll venture afar, exploring insights that shine like a star. So let us begin with minds open wide. Together we'll learn with curiosity as our guide. Now, I am pleased to call upon for Mr. Wan Shahid Nasrat for the Dua recitation. Please welcome.
الفاتحة. بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب ولا الضالين آمين. الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا آتنا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا واغفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا ما وعدتنا على رسولك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا يعاد. اللهم يا عزيز يا غفار. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, sovereign of the day of recompense. It is you we worship, and you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger or of those astray. Allah, with your mercy and protection, we are able to gather here at this event, ALUKEP Talk 2025. In this full event, we humble pray to Allah to increase our knowledge in the industry and enhance our knowledge further in the career of this field. Ya Allah, make our gathering here as a blessed one, and our dispersion thereafter a guided and a one, and make not any among us or a wretched or deprived one. Ya Allah, of knowledge between the good and evil, between the obvious and the unseen. Protect us from danger, from disturbances and strife. Grant us our prayers, guide us to righteousness and to the that you bless. Provide us with people that are sincere, trustworthy, noble, and honest, responsible in building a developed nation, united people. With excellent glory and distinction. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين.
Thank you, Mr. Wan Shahid Nasran, for the Dua recitation. To officially commence this afternoon's program, it is my distinct honor to invite the respected Administrative Secretary of SPE-UTM SC, Nur Iman Christina binti Ahmad Ramli, to deliver her speech for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, Please join me in welcoming Ms. Iman Kristina.
Alright, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning, very good afternoon. I bid to the distinguished guests, respected speakers, fellow committee members of the ALUKEP Talk, and to all the esteemed participants who joined us today. So, on behalf of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, University Technology Malaysia Students, SPE-UTM SC, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all to this event. First and foremost, I would like to convey my deepest appreciation to our President, Mr. Syed Muhammad Firas, for his unwavering leadership and support. I would also like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speakers from Petronas Carigali Sedan Berhad, Ms. Shahida Sulleh as Senior Reservoir Engineer, and Mr. Sarran Raaj as Senior Production Technologist for graciously accepting our invitation to sharing their expertise in the industry. And to all the participants who joining us today, whether you come from petroleum engineering course or other related fields, thank you for being here. I believe that this session not only will enhance our knowledge in the industry, but also these valuable speakers will inspiring us to choose the right path for our future. Therefore, I truly encourage everyone to take full advantage of this session and don't forget to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iman Kristina, for the speech. Now, we are pleased to hear from the person spearheading one of the most anticipated initiatives under SPE-UTM SC, the SPE ALUKEP Talk program. It is my pleasure to invite Lim Zihao, Director of the SPE ALUKEP Talk program, to share a few words and insights with us regarding this exciting event. Mr. Zihao, for the screen is yours.
Thank you, MC. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to SPE ALUKEP Talk. My name is Lim Zihao, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you all here today. We're thrilled to have you join us for the event today. For over the next few hours, we'll have a dynamic program plan filled with exciting sharing sessions of current issues in oil and gas industry. We encourage active participation and look forward to engaging in insightful discussions and collaborative efforts. Before we begin, I'd like to extend a special thank you to today's speakers, Ms. Shahida and also Mr. Sarran, for the invitation acceptance. We really appreciate that. Their hard work and dedication have made this event possible. Once again, welcome. We hope you enjoy your time with us. Let's make this a truly memorable and productive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zihao, for the informative and inspiring remarks. We look forward to seeing the success of this year's ALUKEP Talk. Now, let us move on to the main agenda of the event. Before we start, I would like to introduce our speaker of the day. Introducing our esteemed speaker for today, Ms. Shahida Sulleh, Senior Reservoir Engineer at Petronas Carigali Sedan Berhad. Ms. Shahida holds both a bachelor degree and a Master of Science in Petroleum Engineering from University Technology Malaysia, one of the country's leading institutions in engineering education. She brings with her over 16 years of extensive experience in the oil and gas industry, particularly in the field of reservoir engineering and resource management. She began her career at Petronas in 2008 and as a reservoir engineer and has since taken on a variety of key roles, including senior executive in risk management under Malaysia Petroleum Management, MPM, senior petroleum engineer in multiple divisions, including reservoir engineering and international and exploration and resource management, IERM, and currently serves as a senior reservoir engineer. Her career journey reflects not only technical excellence, but also her adaptability and leadership across both domestic and international exploration and resource management domains. Before we start the event, I would like to remind you that throughout the day, remember that learning is not just about absorbing information, but it's also about engaging with the material, asking questions, and nurturing your curiosity. So let's make the most out of this golden opportunity to learn, connect, and forge a path towards innovation. Now, let us embark on our day of learning and exploration with our sharing session by Ms. Shahida Sulleh. We are truly honored to have such an exceptional speaker with us today. Without further ado, the stage is yours.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Shahida.
I think the title is a bit of, my title is different. My title of today is Accelerating Innovation and Resilience Towards Sustainability. I think this one is meant for Sarran, I guess. Okay, wait, let me share my screen. So right now I'm sharing my screen. Hold on. Tab. So this is my pad. Can you see my pad already? So I think you can see it, right? Right. So let me know if anything like the flow is not smooth, or anything you cannot hear me, just let me know because I'm not using my headphone. So is there any distraction in voice? Yes, maybe I can just quickly get my headphones instead. To set up this just now. Now is it?
Yes, Ms. Shahida, we can hear you clearly.
That's good. All right. So, okay, let's start. So, accelerating innovation and resilience towards sustainability. So, this is my topic for today. A bit about myself. I was born in Kuala Lumpur, Pahang. So, I've learned until SPM in Sekolah Menengah Clifford, Kuala Lumpur, Pahang. I complete my matriculation in Pusat Asasi Sains University Malaya. And I also have a degree and master from UTM. So I took a part-time master in Jalan Semarak, KL. A bit about activity that I've done during university time. I was an athlete for UTM for kayak, also choir team. I also in Petronas, I involved in Petronas Leading Women Network. So this PLWN is basically to encourage and to retain women workforce in Petronas. And currently I'm a volunteer and also diversity and inclusion chairperson for Society of Petroleum Engineering Kuala Lumpur section. So I'm passionate about how to get yourself employed. I also passionate about public speaking and also diving. Working experience, I guess just now one of you already like explained about my experience. So mainly I involved in the field development plan last time with Sabah Fields, Enhanced Oil Recovery Project, and Sabah Deepwater, Iraq, Brunei, Angola project. And currently I'm with Joint Venture Malaysia, Sector 3. I manage HES, Charigali HES, and Charigali PTTEP partners. Okay, that is a bit about myself. So my my quote is always that everyone has their own potential. Believe in yourself and take charge and move on. All right. So back to the topic. This is my so-called content for today. There are going to be 4 partition from my sharing. So it's going to be first talking about business sustainability, and secondly, talking about innovation in business and some success story. Third, I will touch a bit about personal branding, and the last one will be some key takeaways. All right. So, what is sustainability? So, in essence, sustainability refers to how we're doing business in the manner that generate value to the business, and we also deliver sustainability for the society and without impacting, giving a negative impact to the environment, community, and as well as society. So, which means that in doing business, we have to ensure that other factors in our business won't negatively impact the society, environment, and community. So that is what sustainability in essence. As you can see here, we have social, economic, and then environmental. So social means more in terms of interaction between human, society to work, and then economics more on the manufactured materials, and then more on giving back to the company and making into a profit. That is economics, and environmental is more towards when we do our business. More or less, it will have some impact to the environment. So, and then how could we manage this, and how could we lessen the negative impact out of the business? Okay. Next one is why sustainability is very important. So actually in business, in this case, particularly in oil and gas, the business itself could turn raise in could impact the Earth in terms of the three global crises. That there's a three global crises that impact by business that we have run. So the main three is, first is climate change, and second is natural loss, and the third one is inequality. So if we oppose this, if individual go against this common, so we will going to have a society that have imbalance, and then our natural resources also going to be exhausted, and the planet Earth will not able to sustain the life. So I'm going to go in detail for each three main global crises here. So in the next slide, the detail on the climate change, for example. So for the Earth itself, we are facing 1 degree Celsius increase in global warming. And then this is something that we would like to manage and encounter by having less carbon emission to the air. Okay, so you can see a warming of 1.5 degrees C or higher increase the risk associated with the long-lasting and irreversible changes. So this is something related to the ecosystem, something to do with the, you can see there's a lots of disaster in certain country, and recently like there's a tectonic plate happen, and then there's a small, not small, I guess there's a quite a few meters of tsunami happen recently. So those are the global crisis of climate change. And natural losses, then it is more on the declining of wildlife population, because we do cut the trees, and then we use the land for development, and then those are the things that will impact the nature itself. And the last one is the inequality. So this for this one, actually based on the United Nations, there are more than 700 million people, or 10% of the global population, still live in extreme poverty. So you can see that they are surviving, they have less food. So these are the things that the crisis that we have to address, and through sustainability, we will, as much as we could, overcome this global crisis. All right. And this is where we go and we come with the global agenda on sustainability. So since 2015, the role of business in driving sustainability has been significant and amplified. So business has put some of their money to provide sustainability development. So in Petronas, out of these 17 sustainability development goals, we took several out of it, but I show everything here. So we have 17, the no poverty, and the other is zero hunger. So you can see here how United Nations and also the countries with many of the countries have the businesses that they run, and they also pledge to contribute to this 2030 agenda for sustainability development. Okay. I guess most of you know about Paris Agreement. So in December 2015, there is a legally binding international treaty on climate change. So this one is basically we call it Paris Agreement. The goal of this agreement is to limit global warming to get it below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably is 1.5 degree, because it keep on increasing, and we want to limit this increase of global warming. So this also define that net zero carbon emission are planned to be achieved when man-made emission of greenhouse gas to the atmosphere is captured, and then the gas is removed properly. Okay, and then this is a bit of the quote or the short thing from the IPCC about the how much we need the net zero carbon and net zero emission. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the upstream business. So for your information, each of us have our own carbon footprints. So we basically emits CO2 when we breathing. So we breathe oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide. So that is one. And of course, there are the other so-called factor where we also emit CO2. If we use a lot of vehicles, vehicles that use fossil fuel, then that is where will emits to the air. And then for upstream business right now, Petronas is embarking on carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So we plan to have this coming soon through Kasawari project. So it is basically taking all the carbon dioxide and put it into a suitable reservoir and storage it downhole so that we don't emit it to the environment. Okay, so if you want to see what are the factors that could contribute to increase of carbon footprint, you can scan this barcode and then you will get to the website where you can calculate how many tons of CO2 that you produce every year. Okay, so you can try to scan this and take a look at the elements that you have to fill in, like usage of your electricity, usage of your car. All those things will going to emit some portion of the green gas house. Okay, all right. So for downstream in Petronas, we recently displayed 2 sustainability products. Which is first is ultra high purity methanol and Petronas Air Blue. So this ultra high purity methanol is basically a ultra pure methanol that can be used as a cleaner energy source. So it is a cleaner energy source in comparison to other type of methanol. And for Air Blue, it is basically a Petronas unique proprietary process. It's a process that ensures a trouble-free quality diesel for a cleaner air. So these 2 products basically is the new things that Petronas has produced as part of sustainability products. Okay. Next one is renewable energy. businesses. So in Petronas, we have Gentari. Gentari is our subsidiaries of Petronas that focusing on doing the renewable energy like solar. So mainly it focus on solar. It also study other source of renewables energy as well. So in this case, for example, here, if I could share to you, this is the clean energy solution that they proposed and they implemented in India, Wardha, Maharashtra area. So this one is a big and huge. It can go up to 150 megawatts open access project in India. So this is an example. And then recently, Gentari have received Excellent Award in Sustainability Partnership Award under Mastercard Malaysia Customer Forum. And these are the example of solar panel that we have. So we have one project in Pahang. If you know, you go to the area of Gebang, there are, but then this is quite small. This is at the beginning of it. 10 megawatt solar panel there. And if you go to Surya KLCC, that KLCC Surya, the top, the rooftop is basically full of a solar panel on top of it. So we have started quite years before that, 10 years back. Okay. And some more example is the project that we have in University Technology Petronas. So this is the area of the faculty and the area of the faculty in the UTP. So on the rooftop, all the rooftop here, you can see all of it is full with the solar panel. But the capacity is not that big, it's all 7.3, but it is sufficient to help the university to cover the cost of electricity. And yeah, Gentari also received a Solar Project of the Year award for renewable energy in 2022. Okay. That is all that is an example of business that we have. So right now, I want to share with you and focus with you on how can we accelerate innovation. So just now is more on sustainability, and now how can we generate innovation? So first of all, we can be intentional by having something that we focus on that giving meanings. So what I'm going to share with you is more on is videos. Hello? Okay. Are you still listening? Because suddenly it got distracted. Okay. All right. So okay. So then
Miss
these are
Shahida, we are
the
not seeing your
example.
screen.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wait, let me just opening it back. I don't know why suddenly it lost connection. It's okay. So can you see again now? Now? How about now?
Yes, we can.
So this is the last slide that you have seen, or how?
the slide before, the slide before this.
Or the slide before. Okay. So this is slide before. So this one is I'm explaining about the focus on something like giving meaning. So next one is how the company itself giving a meaning. So like you saw, if you see the Apple sign is related to computers, to iPhone, right? So Google's is more on information, eBay, e-commerce, and YouTube videos. So those are the example how can we give meaning out of what we're going to or what we try to innovate. So that is one. And then the next step is to make a catchy trademark. So this is we are using like 2-3 words that describe why the meaning should exist. So we're describing the meaning of our innovation. So this is where, for example, a company like Nike, authentic athlete performance. So this is the trademark. FedEx is peace of mind, and Petronas, the trademark is passionate about progress. So you can see this company have their own trademarks out of it. So next one, I would try to share to you how Petronas as a brand innovate itself or evaluate itself in this evolution of previous statement. Previous vision statement is Petronas' vision is to be a leading and oil and gas multinational of choice. But this one is quite vague and it have less so-called purpose inside this vision statement. But after a year, recently, like I think this is like 5 years back, Petronas' statement of purpose have changed to a progressive energy and solution partner, enriching life for a sustainable future. So this is the part where it makes a change in its trademarks. So as part of continuous improvement. So next one is the next step part of as part of acceleration of innovation is to jump to the next curve. So this is where a great innovation occur and when you get to the next curve. So the example of this, okay, this is where we anticipate, we try to anticipate the future trends. So like last time, like business like Nokia, BlackBerry, those are the phone business that initially acquired lots of attention and investment, but they didn't manage to see the business disruptor, whereby when Apple come out with the touch screen pad and the technology, computer technology they put in the phone, then that is where Apple have jumped to the next curve, but the other remain at their playground. Okay, then I will give an example how jump to the next curve look like. So this is a success story of founder of Aerodynes. So Aerodyne is basically a drone company in Malaysia by founded by Mr. Kamaro A. Started his business drone in a small scale in a very small room here, if you can see, in early 2014. And right now this company has expand and they make surveillance for wind turbine, also for power grid inspection, oil and gas refinery and platform, and also telco tower inspection. They also have their part of so-called drone that cover agriculture as well. So these are the example of the company that have jumped to the next curve. So they did not build the technology, but they use the technology and provide the services to others. So Aerodynes recently is the top company ranked for a drone solution provider. So this one you can see we are top on we are better and also at the top in comparison to Terra Drone from Japan. Next one is innovate now culture. So jump to the next step, the third step, and innovate now culture means that you do not stay at the same comfort zone. I mean, you innovate yourself. You looking forward for new thing. So this is the part. Innovation is a social phenomenon where it focus on your environment and cultivate innovation now culture. So it is basically, if you like, as a person, if you find some opportunity, you got an idea, and then you execute your plan. This is why what innovation now culture look like. So let me show it to you. One of my friend, her name is Glenda. So Glenda is a founder of Stralex. So during COVID time, the conventional way of sanitizing can cause back pain because we have to carry like 2 to 3 kilo fluid, sanitary fluid. They call it sanitizer fluid. And then she, being a lady, she innovate effective and user-friendly sanitizer machine that just can push. You can just push. It's just a trolley, just like a trolley. A push and it goes. It venting the solution and clean. She also got a contract with Asia. Asia give her a contract to sanitize flights. So these are the sanitizing machine that they use to sanitize the so-called ship. So during COVID time, oil and gas use a lot of her services as well. Okay, this is Innovate Now, and this is her client that use this Mac sanitizer machine. So partly in oil and gas as well. And right now, I would like to share with you my journey, resilient towards sustainability, whereby last time I was on-site engineer during COVID time. So I also one of the frontliner during COVID time. I was assigned to go to offshore to do fluid sampling and also coring job. So it was not easy because I have to go through 6 times of swab tests. And then I also a bit scared because during that time there's no access to vaccine. And it is like yeah, we don't know because lots of people died during that time. So I also did a week on the drill ship because of one of the assistant drillers have a checkout, and he went to Labuan to check out, and he got false positive result. So all the people on board cannot go. So I'm supposed to like fly back to Sabah to KK, but I didn't manage to get out because there's a safety protocol that you have to sit in the drill ship. You have to stay in the drill ship, and the Kementerian Kesihatan Malaysia (KKM) came on board and swiped 150 personnel on board. So all of us are negative because we already like have to go quarantine before we can go to the drill ship. But yeah, it's a false positive, and eventually after a week of quarantine, I managed to come back. After that. So on the right side here, you can see this is where I take the atmospheric oil sample. So this is basically we send a chamber 20 liters like that to get the oil, and these are the oil. Okay, and then on the right side, on site gas sampling, this is where I use balloon to capture hydrocarbon gas using the balloon, and we send the balloon back to the on-site lab to check on the gas property. And at the bottom here is ROV, remote operating vehicles. So we use this remote operating vehicle for taking a water sample at 1 kilometer depth. And on the right bottom here is the coring job. Okay, so I would like to share with you some of a video when I go to offshore. So let's have a look, and I hope you can hear the video sound. Let me know if you cannot hear, right?
Shahida, we can't hear the sound from the video, actually. Nope.
You can, is it? So, it because this music. This is part of lowering down riser. We just drop it. 1 kilometer. We put the E line to the riser before we load this stress. And the guy is doing H2S. This is how does it look from the doghouse. For core, we lay it to put Trojan for cutting. And this is called we call this is a crude oil sample collection. As the or of my pictures on site. Okay, so let me just next. So other than work itself and everything, each of one of us also can innovate, take a innovation at personal level. So for me, I do have some passion in do some sharing and also doing a volunteering work. So I start small by becoming MC, becoming moderator in my company. And then when I started to get, thank you to UTM. UTM always invite me for ALUKEP night. You see, there's a ALUKEP night talk in 2022. And some industry academia. So I got a lot of invite from university on career talk and also resume writing. I also become a keynote speaker for UMP. And recently, I think the recent one, I went to University Malaysia Pahang as part of a platform competition. And we did some sharing with the student as well. So I also present some papers at SPE workshop. So these are the so-called the journey that I went through because I decided to start at some point. So in terms of personal branding also, I started small, but yeah, I can see how it progressed, how I grow in this passion of mine. Okay. Next, okay, without now we are moving towards the next chapter, which is personal branding. So I cannot help myself not to share a bit about how to get yourself with you guys. So as you can see here, how to get yourself have 4 important elements, which first of all is the degree itself. So you need to have degree with a good grades, with a good so-called volunteering work like SPE, student chapter, or any like Majlis Pelajar ke, or athlete UTM ke, kan. So all those things permit to work. So you need to have that so that you can put something in your resume. Okay. And this permit to work also inclusive of where you intern, do your internship as well. So this is one. And secondly, you must have assertive resume, whereby you need to manage, need to market yourself through the resume itself, so that you can becoming part of the shortlisted candidates for the interview. And the third one is for you to prepare for interview when you got 1 or 2. And this is the part that this is a critical part whereby you need to understand about employee background, employee for the potential employer company background, their focus, and then you need to have a so-called good understanding on which project they are focused on. So that is one. And then under preparing for interview, you also must invest in yourself in terms of the dress that you wear during the interview, the tie, the shoes, card, and everything. And then you also need to prepare your script, how you can answer their question. And not last but not least, you also can so-called prepare a question to the interviewer. So this is part of parcel of prepare for interview. So many interviewee, they forgot to prepare a question. So this is like a bonus point where when you prepare a question, it showcases that you are willing to work with them. So a type of question that you may ask during this interview, you can ask about how is going to like working here, how is the environment, how is the people. That is one. And then secondly, you can also ask what is expected out of you if you manage to get this job. So you need to prepare a question that showcase that you are really willing to work with them. And that is for interview. And last but not least is personal branding in social media. So as one knows right now, everyone is online. So you got to choose which of the social media that could benefit you. So if you want to market yourself using IG, yeah, please go on. But I would suggest please be present in LinkedIn. At least spend your time and build your personal brand in LinkedIn. So I can see there's a lot of students that already built their so-called online presence, and those people manage to market themselves and manage to get a good placement for their internship and good placement for their job. Okay, so you can start with updating your banners. You can start with connecting with the right people online. You can also start by connecting to the influencers, so to get to know how to get the how to get yourself employed. So things like that. So start now, start small, but continuously improve yourself. Okay, you will see the impact, because I already see the impact. 3 years back, I was inspired by one of the influencer in LinkedIn. I think you know Ayu Shahira. So Ayu Shahira is like very have a very lots of follower. So this lady inspired me to do more on my presence in online. So I start with around 250 connection, and now I got more than 250. It's like tenfold out of 250. So by having more connection, I got more opportunity, and I spend my wings outside of Petronas. So I'm not limited myself with only Petronas connection. Okay. So this is the example. As you can see, we have I mean, this is your previous so-called senior, right? Muhammad Arshad. He's a ex-president. He's now working with Petronas as a production technologist. And at the bottom here is Mio. So Mio also already got a job. So yeah, you if you benchmark yourself to them, of course the title of president only one, but then this is how they brand themselves lah. So I would like you to at least have the idea that you need to do this now, so that coming to the end of the year of your graduation, you already have some connection in the industry. So on the right side is the influencer that active in oil and gas. Okay, and I would like to share with you what I understand about LinkedIn algorithm. So maybe many of you don't know that okay, for example, if you see the diagram on the right side here, the yellow is you. The yellow is you, and your connection is your first degree friends. Means that, let's say I am connected to Lim Zihao. So Lim Zihao, I will see Lim Zihao as my first connection, my first degree connection. Lim Zihao friends, which not my follower or not my connection, I will see him or her as my second degree of friends in LinkedIn. So why do you need to know about this first, second degree, third degree? Because it's like this. If let's say you are connected to Ayu Shahira is influencer, or you connected to Mr. Anwaruddin, president of SPE KL, and then or you connected to Fazrul Azrin just now. So if you connected to these three influencer, and when you have an event or you make a post, you tag all these three, what happened when they like your post? When they like your post, let's say I make a post, Lim saw my post and Lim liked my post. So when Lim liked my post, Lim Zihao liked my post, his second degree friend will have notification that, oh, Lim have liked Shahida post. So you are right now tapping to the second degree of friend that others have. So just imagine if you tag influencer and that influencer comment, that influencer like your post, you are basically tapped to 100,000 of his or her fellow of audience. So this is where when you are present in online, when you make a post, it go viral. Okay. So I hope you get what I try to share here, because this is the understanding of the algorithm stuff and why other people tag other people. Okay. And personal branding also, you can expand your connection. So LinkedIn allow you to link or to network or connect to 100 person per week. So it is about 20 to 25 invite per day. And at maximum, you can get 30,000 of connection. So every one of us, maximum 30,000 of connection, the remaining will be follower. So this 30,000 is your first degree connection. So if you have wanted to build your connection without having to have like making a post regularly, so you can also make a connection by invite them to connect with you. So to finish this 30,000, it's going to take you around 6 years, which 25 invites per day. Okay, but I would rather you make a post and personal brand yourself lah. That is much more better. Okay. And then last for personal branding, these are the LinkedIn tips to get yourself employed. So first of all, you need to find a right groups. So which means that if you like to be a reservoir engineer, there is a reservoir engineering group in LinkedIn. So be in that group. Get to connect with the people which are having a reservoir engineering background. And we also have others like petrophysics. We also have other like petrol production technologies and others, and drilling as well. That is one. And connect to them. And then the second one is to engage consistently in social media. You can like, you can comment other people posts. Those are the way you show your presence. Okay. And you can also diversify your content, so what you share. But I would say diversify is not that good. I mean, you can have a certain theme, certain thing that you're going to focus when you present online, so that people will know. Okay, let's say if I go to Lim Zihao LinkedIn, maybe Lim Zihao like to talk about reservoir engineering, so he always posts LinkedIn posts about reservoir engineering, for example. So that is his personal brand. So like me, I like to talk about public speaking, oil and gas. So that's going to be my focus on when I present online. And you can also give or share. You can also repost once a day, and or you can decided to repost or make a post once a week. It's up to you. So for me, I work and I don't have much time, so I post weekly, by normally once a week. Okay. And also participate in the discussion, give comment, ask question. Those are the way you connect to people online. And the last one in the yellow box here is basically the right time to make your post. Your posting is between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. time, because this is the prime time where people will open their LinkedIn and get to connect with other people. Okay, this is also the time you can post and you like comment and everything. Because by doing this, when you make a post, make sure you comment your post, like leave your thoughts here whatsoever. You must like your post. That is how your post will go to the first news feed because there's someone like your post. Basically, you are the one who like your post lah. So you make comment and like your comment, and algorithm will put your so-called posting at the top of the news feed. Okay, and people will start to like because they say, oh, okay, in the news feed, someone has post this thing, and there's a comment and there's a like. That is how the algorithm works. Okay. Okay, some key takeaways. Have 5 minutes. So for future petroleum engineers, first of all, I pick up from my presentation just now. Try to be intentional. So you need to have focus on your objective or target. So you need to understand why are you now in university. You are here to learn and to come back with a degree. So that is one. Have a pure intention and be genuine, because if you try to do something that you are not into it or you're not passionate about, it's not genuine and people can sense it. Or okay, that is one, be intentional. And second is continuous improvement. So you can learn from mistake, and then you can try to increase efficiency and quality by time. And please, for as part of continuous improvement, get a mentor or a coach so that this mentor or coach will guide you throughout your career journey. And the third one, anticipating future trends. So this is the part that part of innovation just now when I say jump to the next curve. So this is anticipating future trends. So you need to do your research. Let's say you are focusing now on to get yourself employed. You wanted to get a job, a good job, a decent job. So you do your research, which company that you want. You shortlist 10 company that you target to work. So those are the things that you need to do. Do your research and upskill according to the trend right now. So right now, lots of executive employer like to take executive that is have the knowledge on Power BI, Python. So those are the new skill that you need to have so that you can or so-called upsell yourself. Okay, and learn how to leverage on the AI as well. And the last but not least is to innovate now. This is the part where you brainstorm your new ideas. If you have ideas, you brainstorm on it and celebrate failures as well. Learn from your failures and personal brand yourself. So I can what can I say is that for innovate yourself is basically can start with personal branding, because this is the simplest way to market yourself. So do personal branding, because I know that I'm part of the alumni and I have gone through the personal branding journey. I also have shared this personal branding story with my colleague in my company as well, how I built my connection whatsoever. So this is something that I can say and I suggest to you to start with. So any idea is up to you, but for innovate now, start with personal branding. I think that's all from me. Thank you. You can connect with me through LinkedIn by scanning this. If you have any question, yeah, yes, you can ask me now. And this is my also my so-called phone number and everything, email address. Wait, okay, that's all.
Thank you, Ms. Shahida Sulleh, for sharing your invaluable insights and expertise with us. Your knowledge has been truly enlightening. Now, dear ladies and gentlemen, we will begin our Q&A session. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute your microphone or drop your questions in the chat box.
So you can ask me any question. I will answer as best as I could. Yeah, any kind of question.
Can you hear me, Miss Shahida?
Hello, hi.
Hi, I'm Gareth, a first year petroleum engineering student. I would like to
Mm-hmm.
ask Miss, other than the oil and gas sector currently, which other sectors,
Mm-hmm.
in Miss' opinion, require the most urgent innovation to meet global sustainability goals?
Which you mean in oil and gas?
Other than oil and gas sector,
Other
in
other
Miss'
than oil and gas.
opinion.
Um, it's quite hard question. But I would say right now people are embarking in AI. So AI also there's a AI based carbon capture also. We also have that. So the area that I would say now needs more innovation is AI. Lots of people focusing on AI. But we as part of petroleum engineering, we don't use so much AI, but yeah, we embedded some AI in our process flow, in our so-called tools. So sometimes, so all those things we need to learn along the way. And yeah, that is the industry that need more innovation, I would say. But in other as well, sometimes people think that they have a limited mind. When I say limited mind is that okay, we are in this arena, in this discipline, we don't need don't need any more innovation, which is wrong. I mean, in each of sector like manufacturing, automotive, all need this kind of innovation so that we will keep on improvise, provide a good services to the customer. So these are the things that I guess there's no cast and stone answer, but yeah, the innovation right now more weightage I can see put on AI. But the other industry actually also need to have innovation now because we cannot stop it to be in a comfort zone as always. So we need to always have the evolution in ourselves and in other in the other sector, each of the sector because it's very important.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay, I hope I answered that question.
Yeah. Thank you, Miss.
Yeah.
Then, Miss, there are questions
Okay.
inside the chat box.
Oh, okay. So wait a minute. I want to see the chat. Okay, this one. This one. How can I see the chat? Okay. Wait. Okay, from Yusuf. Do chemical engineering students have a future in petroleum slash gas industry, oil and gas industry? Actually, uh, petroleum engineers, your degree is basically last time called Kejuruteraan Kimia Petroleum, engineering in chemical of petroleum engineering, things like that. So chemical engineer actually have a vast opportunity to go to downstream or to upstream. So when you say about petroleum and gas industry, it cover both. You can go to downstream, which is plant. We have pengerang, we have other plant also by other company. So you can go to downstream or you can go to offshore. You do offshore work whereby work with Cherry work with operator like we have in Malaysia Shell, we have ExxonMobil. So I do believe there is future for you guys because the oil has not finished yet. We keep on getting more oil and more oil. So if you know, recently Petronas has found a mega field. It's a deep water. Based on the so-called thing, this deep water can produce up to 10,000 10,000 barrel per day for 1 hour. So just imagine 2 kilometer or what the reservoir is 5 kilometers, 5,000 meters. So yeah, we still getting oil. So I guess there's a chemical engineer or petroleum engineer. So there's a still future for you. Okay. Is petroleum the next question? Is petroleum engineering job considered risky and hazardous? It depends. If you don't like high risk, you can work like me. So I'm reservoir engineer. So I actually don't go to offshore frequently. So if I have a so-called fluid sampling things to do, and then I will go. It's not at regular basis. But then of course lah, when you do high risk work, like you have to go offshore, right? So as part of, like, let's say you are work with Sambaje, you do well testing, or you work with Sambaje, you do wireline job. So all this thing, when you go offshore, they will pay you because you're taking the risk to go offshore. So yes, they do also consider risk. If I understand this question, does this engineering job consider risk? We do consider the risk. And we also take precaution, and HSC the first thing to be considered when you are on board lah, on offshore. But the perk is there. You will be paid right now it's around, for Petronas, it's around 200 plus. I can say around 300 lah, per day if you go offshore. Say 10 days, you got 3,000 already. Tapi if you go to other company, it's more lah. Like contractor company, somebody pay more lah. So you can get more if you go join so-called contractor lah. They pay in USD. So that's why they can pay you more. Okay. But yeah, we do consider the hazardous. But normally we also have the let's say the area have H2S there, so we have to wear the mask and everything. We're going to so-called follow the HSC protocol. So there are HSC or safety elements be implemented, so don't worry so much. Of course there's a risk because they pay you high, but at the same time they do provide a precaution and preventive things for you to be safe. Any other question? Oh, there is. Such high pay is only in Petronas, or petroleum industry job are high pay worldwide. It is high pay worldwide. If you go to country like Holland, UK, if you go to US, of course they pay you more, because I have a friend used to work with Murphy Oil last time, but Murphy has take out their investment in Malaysia, and before the company bungkus balik ke negara dia, bukan bungkus apa, I mean the company tu memang tak nak invest kat Malaysia, dia nak invest kat Gulf of Mexico je. So what they did, because my friend ni a lady engineer nama dia Sharifah, so Sharifah is very good staff, petroleum engineer, so they take Sharifah to do resource assessment and something to do about resource number. So right now she with her husband and kids staying there and work there lah. So yeah, they pay a lot in US. So you just imagine you being paid in US or UK money, so UK dollars, and those translate to Malaysia is high. It's very high. And then what else? Thank you, Vinay. Okay, with emerging EV industry, some people view oil and gas as a gonna die soon industry. What is your point of view in this issue? What have current oil and gas industry have done to it in long term? Okay, yeah, EV, yes, but you can see if the country have a lots of oil and gas resources, we don't use EV as much. Like for China, they don't have lots of oil and gas, but they do have hydroelectric. So they have a lot of electricity coming from hydro. That is where they can embark on EV industry. Like us, we do have fossil fuel, which is also not that high, still cheaper in our country. So we still focusing on using that oil and fossil fuel to generate energy for our EV, for our vehicles. So we still use that lah. And right now kan we do have the NGV semua, so still selling that to the customer here in Malaysia. And other country with lots of oil and gas pun, they sell their oil lah. Of course they don't. Yeah, EV is something that people are looking at, but I don't say that. I will not say that the oil and gas industry is going to die soon. No, because okay, you need to understand, in Malaysia, because we don't have lots of dam like in China, so we still use gas as part of our fuel mix to run the dynamo to produce electricity. So if you can go to TNB, Tenaga Malaysia, Tenaga Nasional Berhad, so you can see in the website the fuel mix that they use coal and they use gas. So this gas is basically coming from the gas field from Peninsula Malaysia. If you talk about Peninsula, and if you talk about Sabah and Sarawak, they have not like as developed as Peninsula. So their excess gas, they sell it through LNG. They sell it to Japan, they sell to Korea. So we have excess in gas production that we sell it and need for the country. So I don't foresee, because there's still country like Japan that need us to sell gas to them so that they can use it as their fuel mix for electricity, their fuel mix for car and vehicles. So I don't see that this industry will die soon. Even though we also foresee, yeah, we do have that renewables energy coming in, but I would say there's still we need time to understand this so-called renewable energy, because it's not continuous. Even though it's renewable, like in Malaysia, if you put the solar panel, not all the year is hot, or we have sun all the year. So it's going to be some days with sun, some days with not sun, kan. So still the renewables still need to study more. We still need to study more on that. So, and then next question, as petroleum engineering graduate, how did you decide to go into reservoir subsurface or drilling or well completion? Okay, this one is basically during the interview, I mentioned it during the interview that I would like to be reservoir engineer. So you can upfront interviewer that you would like to be a reservoir engineer. Or if you like to be wells engineer, you like to do drilling, you mention to them. Sometimes it's depend on lucks. One of my colleague got an opportunity to be a drilling engineer. She's a lady. So it depends. It depends on the luck. It depends on the vacancy. Yeah, it's not that I cast in stone that I would like to be a reservoir engineer, but I the reservoir engineer because I've been offered the job. Okay, there's opening of reservoir engineer during my time. Okay, next. So European countries are shifting to renewable source, but oil use still high over there despite of shift in the energy. When we talk about European countries, is yes, we do have that kind of understanding. We are shifting to renewables because the sustainability agenda whatsoever, because we want to so-called net zero carbon emission and everything. But I would say oil still in use, oil and gas still in use. Because in Canada, for example, I'm not talking about Europe, but in Canada, Petronas is embarking in the gas sector right now with some partners. It's going to be a huge project in Canada. So we still, I mean, based on the news, based on the fact that we have right now, oil and gas companies still expanding and still looking forward to sell their oil and gas product. So even though we might think that it's going to shift in energy, but the energy transition itself is basically is not transition in my point of view. It is more on energy expansion. So if you look at that sense, it's more on like, okay, you have oil, you have gas, then you have wind, you have solar, you have hydrogen. It's expanding of the source of energy. It's more on that. But yeah, of course, people are talking about the transition because net carbon zero, right? But then still, in my own opinion, is energy expansion instead. Good evening, Ms. Shahida. In your opinion, what is the most effective way to personal brand yourself in the industry as a student, such as attending which main event to network? Okay. Personal brand, like I shared before. Okay, let's say today you have this event. please snapshot the snapshot the picture of us later on and do sharing. So as many as you could, and tag the personal that have a lot of followers. So if let's say you're going to have a session with one influencer, and then you tag him or her, and then you show your news will go to the feed, and you are basically right now marketing yourself lah, in a way. Okay, that is one. And then the other part is that you also can attend event. So there's a paid event, there's a free event. So SPE-KL always do free talk. So follow SPE-KL. Do follow SPE-KL because they have like 50 ringgit for student is free. For professional, you have to pay 50 ringgit normally. So that one you can go physical to attend that kind of technical session. So get to meet with the industry people, and part of personal branding, you be a organizer, the organizer. So I can see here's committee, right? We have okay, Zihao, Mac Ryan, okay, Matt Ryan, Gareth, all these are you guys are committee, right? So good that you put at the background you are committee. So when you take a pictures, take this picture snapshot and put in the LinkedIn and do some so-called summary out of what you learned from today, and then you can start the journey of personal branding. Okay, I hope I answered that. Because I heard that renewable energy is not meeting the energy demand of entire country. Yes, this is true. Yusuf, what you heard is a fact. Renewable energy is not enough for us. We don't have like wind. We don't have wind. Solar also is not all the year. And fossil fuel is something that, let's say TNB don't want to use gas. And where is Petronas want to sell their gas? So Petronas has like invest in pipeline. They call it Peninsular Gas Utilization Pipeline. It's a very long pipeline whereby we produce the gas, we put in the pipeline. So this PGU is the investment that Petronas put up front so that they can sell the gas. So it is a fact that, let's say Petronas out of stock, out of gas, what happened to industry? We have manufacturing industry. All the industry we disturb is going to be a disruptive kind of chain lah. So there's one time recently there's a pipeline issue, right, in Putra Heights. So those are the things that Petronas have to rectify quickly because it hindered the sales point to the other part of the pipeline. So it will impact the business as well. So it's not only Petronas business, it's other the user business as well. Okay, I heard that even if the country has natural oil reservoir, many those countries are unable to process salt due to the lack of technology and lack of engineers. This normally if they don't have lots of expertise, they just bring from others lah. I mean, they acquire the stuff from Malaysia ke, from India ke. So like Malaysia, reservoir engineer, we have a lots of Indian expat from India. So we maybe don't have lots of the expert. Jadi we acquire the expertise from outside. Also from other country like Venezuela. So I have a colleague from Venezuela. So actually, it could stop the country from processing and sell the oil, but they have to build their competency so that they can start to generate money from oil. So for example, last time Petronas was in South Sudan, and we already go out from South Sudan. So we sponsored several students to learn in UTP. I mean, the Petronas sponsored lah, and this student worked with Petronas for like 5 years to South Sudan and develop their country oil and gas company. So right now, when we pull out from Sudan, the national oil company of Sudan operate itself. Okay. Oh, it's more. So how can oil and gas industry balance the needs of energy production with global sustainability goals? Actually, this one, yeah, this is the part we embark in the CCU carbon capture, utilization, and storage. So we're going to have Kasawari project. So right now we are evaluating the storage itself, the integrity of the storage, because when we inject the gas, we don't want the CO2 to leakage now. It could leakage to the ocean and whatnot. So this is where the study need to be properly done. But when we manage to inject the CO2, this is the part of we reducing our carbon emission to the air, carbon methane emission to the air by having this CCUS project. Other country also embarking. Some of it already completed embarking on this, complete the CCS project. So you can search and Google which are the countries that have CCUS project that already done the CCUS project. And that is also actually part of sustainability. And so that mean there are foreign engineer working in Petronas. Of course, yes. Petronas is international company, even though it's known as national oil company, but it is basically an international oil company. So we have Cambodia, we have Vietnamese, we have Venezuela, we have African, we have UK staff, we also have like Canadian staff, we have Colombian staff. This Colombian staff has become custodian for geologists already. So they join us, they can be of course in Petronas it is multiracial country staff in Petronas. I hope I answer all the questions. Okay, so is there any other?
Yeah, I had a follow-up question. So that means those foreign engineers, they are working by being in Malaysia, they're working from their own country.
They're working here in Malaysia. We also have, let's say if we operate in Brazil, so we also hire Brazilian people to work with us in Brazil. So we do have international asset, right? So at this international asset, we could hire those nationality of staff lah. We do have. Some of it work with Petronas in Malaysia. Okay. Any other question? I hope answer. Okay. If no, thank you from me.
Thank you to everyone for your thoughtful and engaging question. Your active participation has made this session both enriching and interactive. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our distinguished speaker for today, Mr. Sarran Raj. Mr. Sarran holds a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from the University of Tulsa, a reputable institution known for producing top-tier talent in the oil and gas industry. He began his professional journey at Petronas Carigali Sendirian Berhad in 2017, where he served as a production technologist. Over the years, his dedication and expertise have seen him grow into the role of senior production technologist, a position he currently holds. With his solid academic background and years of hands-on experience in upstream production operations, Mr. Sarran brings him with valuable insights and perspectives from the field. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm and enthusiastic welcome to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Sarran Raj. With his wealth of knowledge and experience in petroleum engineering, we are truly honored to have him with us today. Mr. Sarran, we are very much looking forward to your insights.
All right. Hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here on a Saturday when you could be shopping or watching a movie. Thank you very much. So I hope what I'm gonna tell you today is gonna be better than any movie that's out there. Okay, let me just go ahead and get started. Yeah. Let me share my screen real quick. Been very stingy. I haven't shared my pack to the committee. So so tell me if you can see my screen. Screen one. Awesome.
Yes, we can.
All right, awesome. All right. So first of all, thank you, Shahid. Thank you, Shahida. Shahida is actually my teammate currently. We're in the same team. I'll tell you which team we are in the next couple of slides. And thank you, of course, the organizers inviting me to talk in this forum. Thank you, Zihao. We met during the ECAN's mentor session earlier this year. So he reached out to me and I wanted to talk about technology because I'll talk you through the progress of here, and a lot of the parts of my career has been involved with technology. Now, technology has always been the very hot thing, the very in thing. Everybody's obsessed with new technology. I say that because I am and I was also very obsessed with new technology, right? Because we're always trying to bring innovation. We're always trying to bring something new, something that's not been done before, which is all great. But today, throughout my career, I've hit a lot of challenges with executing new technology. So I wanted to highlight a little bit on that. And hopefully you walk away today. I'm not going to give you an answer because there really is no answer, right? It's all about how you think about it and how you approach the different things throughout your career. So my hope today is to give you a little bit of insight on how we handle new technology in the industry, or at least throughout my experience. And, you know, you can think about it, right? If it's something you want to pursue or not, right? Okay, let me get my presentation going. Okay, so first of all, give me a second. So first of all, I'm going to introduce myself again. Thank you to the MC for introducing myself very well. So I was born 4th of December, 92. I'm about 8 years in the, no, I'm 32 years because we're not in December yet. I grew up in Port Dickson. I don't remember my life in Ipoh. It was mainly, I moved to Port Dickson when I was 7. And I mean, I just came back from Port Dickson too, so my parents are still there. Nothing special about my school. I grew up, I went to Sekolah Rendah Port Dickson and then Sekolah Tinggi Port Dickson. Nothing amazing. But one thing I did do a lot was sports, right? So I was very active in sports. Taekwondo was my primary sport. I was fighting tournaments since I was 9 all the way to 17. And that naturally gave me a little bit of athleticism. So I applied that to track and field, football, played all kinds of sports. It was just fun because, you know, you guys all know and you guys are in it still, right? You're studying. We always need something else as a release other than studying. So it could be video games, which I did as well. It could be sports. So, you know, always have something on the side, right? So that you don't spend your Saturdays listening to experts talk, right? So right after I managed, thankfully, I was blessed with the opportunity, Petronas scholarship, right after SPM. But of course, as soon as they give you the scholarship, it's not like, okay, you're going overseas. You have to clear you have to go through a prep course and clear the cutoff. And I got sent to College Mara Banting. If you don't know where it is literally a college, and on the left, right, and in front, there's rubber plantation, right? There's nothing else. It's just us and snakes. That's all. College Mara Banting. But it was an amazing school. Being there just helped us like focus on studying, right? So there's nothing else to do. So if you're not studying, you're studying. There's nothing else to do, right? And then luckily I cleared my pre-university, and then I got sent to University of Tulsa. It's in Oklahoma. If you don't know where that is, if you look at the map of US, you just point to the middle, and that's where it is, right? It's a small town, reminds me a lot of very slow moving, very quiet, a little bit of crazy people, but you know, it's everywhere, right? And then I graduated in 2016, and it's during one of the worst oil downturns that we had. I don't know how guys were in 2016, but I remember at one point the price of oil went down to about $20 per barrel. And we had lecturers, in fact, telling us, you know, just stay in school, don't go out to the industry yet because you cannot get a job. And in fact, I had friends who jobs previously, right? So these are kids who are amazing. They got job offers before they graduate with hopes that, you know, right, as they graduate, they'll join, but they got ghosted by those companies because of the oil downturn. So that was how bad it was. So very promising for me to even hear the professors who usually right for advice, and they advise you to stay in school, and I was tired of school at that point, so that was a bit scary for me, but luckily thankfully Petronas found a spot for me and hired on in 2017 as a production technologist. And that was also very lucky. I was extremely blessed because in fact in my batch there was about 20. It's in my hiring batch, right? There were 20 of us coming in, and only 3 of us secured positions in the upstream in petroleum engineering, and the rest all were distributed everywhere, HSE and all that. But you know, nice thing that I learned from that. I mean, of course, I was lucky enough to be in petroleum engineering, but the one thing I took is the others, no matter where they were, they always found their way back to petroleum engineering. So that's just a little bit of resilience on the students who graduated during that time, right? So next, moving to my career, started in 2017, 2025, that's about 8. But if you look at the number of departments I've jumped through, I have 6 different departments in 8 years, right? So I got thrown around a lot at the start of my career because at that time I was a fresh grad, and also they were starting a development program. Started working, actual work, actual projects, but then our capability team started developing a graduate program. So then they pushed us around to get a lot of experience as well, right? But of course, at that time, it was annoying because I wanted to be stable in one department and just try to develop from there. But everything, there's a learning experience in everything, right? I'm going to be saying that a lot today. So don't be annoyed, please. But the nice thing is that I got moved to many different departments, and I have got exposure in so many different departments that it allowed me to understand the business a lot better, right? I understand what team contributes how, in what way. So having that understanding really has benefited me, especially in my current role, right? So I'll walk you through my career progression. So first department, they threw me in specialized studies. At that time, we had the production technology line department. Specialized study, my job was mainly to look for technology. So I started off my career looking for technology, right? And being a production technologist, technology, of course, has to be production related, right? So to solve production issues, so such as sand control, artificial lift, so things like that. It was extremely tough when I started, I have to say that, because in that department, everyone in that department had at least 10 years experience. And I was a fresh grad. And they put me in the same department and I had to compete with them. But luckily, the one nice thing being in a team with the seniors is that they're always very willing to help. Like even Shahida here, she's always willing to help. So if you give me a choice, I always like to be in a team with seniors because they're never shy to share their knowledge, to guide you. So being in specialized studies, I learned a lot about new technology. How do we source them out? What is the maturation process? Because you can't just look at the technology and say, I want that, and then move on, right? There's a lot of steps, which I'll walk you through the presentation later. So I started in specialized studies. Then I got moved to Sarawak Oil, field development planning under Balingan cluster. So Balingan cluster is quite a unique cluster because we have many different partners in the cluster. We have many fields that are under alliance setup. So in this department, what I learned, so these are the key learnings I got from each department. So in SK Oil, I learned a lot about PSC arrangements, how different setups are in different fields and how that benefits us and them as well. So it helped me understand that. And that being my first field development plan team, I did understand a little bit more on the process of field development planning. Then I got thrown to shallow plastics field. So this was shallow plastics is a gas field in Bintulu. I got moved physically to Bintulu, and I was there as a surveillance engineer. So my job scope there would be to manage day-to-day operations of the wells. And that department, my role really required me to integrate a lot with my subsurface team, which consists of me and my TP at that time. And then had to deal a lot with my surface operations, my process engineers, my operations engineer, my metering guys, and then all the planners that come into that department, right? So I had to deal with all of them, right? But what it helped me understand is now I understand also on a day-to-day level what this every department actually requires out of subsurface and how whatever that you do in subsurface actually impacts everyone else, right? So that is what I really learned from there. And that was a very, I would say it was a very developing. In that role, I've had to like stand on my own for a little bit, and that was about 3 years in. So it's essentially you get thrown into the water, and they're like, you either sink or swim, right? So that was a very building time for myself. And then I got moved to MLNG2 field development planning. So as opposed to SK Oil, MLNG2 is a gas PSC. And over there, I started getting involved in bigger projects, longer term projects. And this is where I learned also more on the business, right? And I in a couple of projects, which was very interesting because I got to see how our technical developments, our technical studies and developments really can drive the business decisions, right? So I got in this project, which it was very good, right? It was called Sarawak Gas Growth Strategy. So what it was is that we had to compile everything that is going on in, like, say, a certain hub, right? What exploration is coming, development, future projects, and all that. And then from there, we could kind of dictate our exploration colleagues, right? them, we kind of need gas by this date, right? So can you focus your exploration here? So that was very interesting because we also got involved with our partners. So for example, if we have a hub near a block that is operated by Shell, we could also like talk to them and see if they're willing to support our hub development, right? So that was a very good experience. And then naturally from there, very recently I joined joint ventures in sector 3. Let me put my pointer. So sector 3, this is where I'm working with Shahida. Our partners from Carigali HES, Carigali PTTP, HES themselves, right? So what we do is, because Petronas is 50-50 partners with them, so we are like shareholders in the operation, so we have to approve what they want to do and kind of disapprove if there's anything that we want to disapprove. And then from there was an opportunity that developed that became reality like sometime mid last year, and currently this is the role I'm in, where I'm seconded to Carigali HES operating company. What that means is that I'm sitting with the Carigali HES team themselves. So essentially, I'm like working for Carigali HES. I joined a different company, but it's through an attachment that was done internally, right? So why I really like this opportunity is that it gave me the opportunity to work without resigning from Petronas, right? And this is very different from what I've been working on in Petronas. So over there, my role currently is actually technology focal. I started as the technology focal. So my role is to look for new technology, to try and solve issues again. So it's almost like a full circle, right? So specialized studies, I learn new technology, and now I'm still looking for new technology. Also get full exposure into how other operators kind of operate their fields, shareholder management, and also I have to learn a lot of independence. Over there, they have a very lean, so we don't have a lot of luxury of like people to review with. So you essentially have to see things and make decisions on. Of course, you talk to your boss about it, but you don't have like technical experts like you have in Petronas. It's a very lean team. So you have to stand on your own a little bit. And, looking at my career, I do see how like, when starting in shallow plastics field, having to learn that independence and building that foundation has really helped me support my current assignment in Carigali HES, right? Yeah, so even though it's been a short career so far, 8 years, I feel like it's been a very colorful career. I've dipped my feet in almost every in petroleum engineering, and I've seen how they each operate and how they all tie into each other. Because one thing I need to clear is that Petronas is huge, right? So many people, there's so many teams, and sometimes it's very easy to feel like you're just lost there. You're just one of the many people, right? But to be frank, being in every department, I got to see how every department actually like contributes. And sometimes the bigger picture is not really seen because it's managed by upper management, but it's there. It's there, right? All right. So that was just a little self. Now I'm going to talk about technology. So if I've not mentioned this already, I'll mention this again. This presentation, I prepared it myself. And I have to say it's based on my experience. It's not based on any textbooks. Based on whatever I've gone through, and I wanted to share this with all of you, right? And now again, my intention is not to, what do I say? My intention is not to like tell you what is right, what is wrong, but my intention is to make you think about all the different perspectives coming into it. Because unlike school, right? In school, you study, you have an exam, and in the exams, you have right and wrong answers, right? Have who does better than who. But in work, there's not really, of course, there are some like extremely wrong answers, right? But I just want to explain that, you know, sometimes the decisions that you make are circumstantial. It's based on the data that you have. You would arrive at a certain conclusion. Doesn't mean it is wrong. Doesn't mean it is right. So I'm going to walk you through the presentation, and there's going to be some like thought-provoking, or I feel provoking questions that I want you all to start thinking about. So first question is, of course, why do we need new technology, right? What's wrong with whatever we have been doing? So of course, one, we need new technology if we are unable to solve issues with common methods, right? So for example, you used to, if you're, okay, before I go further, I also have to say that my technology that I'm talking about is going to be production related because I'm biased as a production engineer. I'm not going to talk about AI so much because I've not personally used it a lot for work. So it's going to be production related. So I hope all of you have gone through the production engineering classes. So when I say unable to solve issues with common method, so for example, when you start producing a gas sand production, right? So normally you just bin back, choke, try to reduce the amount of sand, but there will come a certain point that you cannot flow without sand. So what do you do then, right? That's when you start exploring new technology. Another reason is if you want to find cheaper alternative to current solutions. So for example, currently I'm facing a lot of wells that are liquid loaded, right? That means a gas well, I have liquid column built up in my tubing. So the normal solution is you bring a coil tubing unit, you pump nitrogen and you kind of unload the liquid and you kick off the well. But if you learn about coil tubing is not a very straightforward operation. To even get the coil takes a lot of logistical planning and it takes a lot of money, right? So then there's one technology I mean now that is an alternative solution, works similar and is cheaper, right? And then of course you need technology if it can improve production and also improve your operational efficiency. So if you look at this, right? You look at this, you're saying, it's no brainer, right? If we can do all of this, we should use new technology all the time. That is a good thought, right? That is a very logical explanation. It's very straightforward. It's very logical, right? And I know us as engineers, we are really strong in our logical sense. But let's look at the next couple of slides and then see if it's just as straightforward, right? Thing is that the technology has to be driven by problem solving. This is also another example that is very straightforward, but it's not always is the case. Because in an ideal case, you would understand the problem first. So you would have a problem and then you try and identify the solution, right? Once you implemented it at the field, one or two wells, then you evaluate the performance post-implementation, right? See if it's successful or not. But there have been cases where, and this was in my first department, and I've done this myself, right? Because engineer, my KPI was to look for technology, right? I know nothing about our fields. They just told me to look for technology, right? So I have gone a little bit on the inverse sometimes. So I look for technology first and I'm like, okay, this technology sounds cool. This technology sounds doable, right? So I find the technology first Then I come back and try to kind of fit it into, right? And then see if they work or not. So I'm going to talk to you about two technologies that I've done that have been successful, but the impact has been different, right? So in my first year, I did have a technology called foam assisted gas lift. It's essentially a foamer chemical that we pump in to lighten your fluid column, which will help us improve our production or reduce the amount of gas lift that's needed, right? Technology, but in this case, we did not really have, we had a problem, which was insufficient gas, but it was not a huge problem. So the technology application was successful, but it just ended there, right? We piloted it, we tried to replicate it, but nobody was really picking it up because it was not a major problem, right? Fast forward a few years, when I was in Bintulu as a shallow classics engineer. So at that time, was not to look for new technology. My KPI was just manage, right? But I had a problem. I had a very serious problem at that time because the problem was shallow clastic. So clastic formation in very shallow depths are very unconsolidated. So I had a huge amount of sand production. Were idle, but we did not have a good solution to resolve that problem. And to make things worse, at that time, we had a through tubing sand screen. So if you keep in touch with our technologies, through tubing sand screens are very, very sensitive, right? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's not very well understood yet at that point. So I could not sand screen and reactivate my wells. So what happened was the sand screen that was available in the market really working well. And when we looked at the failure reports, we looked at it in great detail. We saw that, I'm not going to name the brand, but this sand screen kept failing at the base pipe, right? So you have with like spots for flow, and then you have the screen on the outside. But the base pipe kept getting messed up. And that was one of the root causes for a lot of the failure. So then I found a technology that was, it was simply a sand screen without any base pipe, right? So I'm like, if my base pipe keeps failing, why don't I remove them? So the problem was the base pipe kept failing. And my solution that was identified was I removed. And also because I removed the base pipe, it improved my flow area through the sand screen. It maintained my flow in laminar flow versus when I had a base pipe, it used to be very turbulent flow. And because of these connections that I made, I felt very strongly about the sand screen, and I felt that the sand screen would work. So we reached out to the vendors, we talked to them, we got it installed, we got it improved first, and then we got it installed, and it actually worked amazing. It worked very well, right? So fast forward 5 years, I installed that in 2019, 2020, and fast forward 5 years, today, the sand screen that I brought in, actually one of the most reliable sand screens that is used. It's used very widely in Petronas. I went for a training a couple months ago, and they were telling me about the sand screen. So I was like, oh, okay. So it was a very successful sand screen. Even like other operators like Hibiscus, Charigali has, we're starting to use this because it was very beneficial, right? But the point I'm trying to make here is that the solution has to solve the current problem, right? So if you get a solution, and this problem has been something that is recurring a lot, it has been recurring a lot. And if you can find a good solution to that problem, then this technology would be something that would be implemented and maintained for a long time. Versus my first technology that I brought in that was, it was hot, right? It doesn't really solve a problem. So that technology just kind of died off. It's still there. Every now and then someone will come and ask me about it, but it doesn't really take off. So number one, the challenge is you need to find a technology that solves the problem. But to do that, first, you really need to understand the problem, right? Okay. Next. One more thing that sometimes is not realized a lot, that new technology implementation is a deviation standard procedure. And if you know people who have, we don't like to deviate from our routine, right? When they're new, we always are like, oh, what is this, right? We don't really like to deviate because we are people of routine. We like to fall into a rhythm and just go with the flow without any new headaches, right? We have a lot of headaches already. So it is a deviation from the standard procedure, right? So because it's a deviation, you would have a lot of pushback. Before even knowing what it is, you would have a lot of pushback. And of course, you would need a very complete and thorough evaluation, more extensive, way more extensive than a normal well intervention proposal. You at subsurface, you need to jump through all that hoops to make sure that this is something that will work, right? And number two, if it is a chemical, like if you're pumping a chemical downhole, you have to go through all types of compatibility tests. You need to do a compatibility test with your tubing material. You need to do a compatibility test with your packers. You need to do a compatibility test with your flow line materials. And you need to know what chemicals are going in, because you need to make sure it doesn't upset any of your surface operations, any of your processing equipments, any of that. Because when you talk to your process guys, that is the first thing they would ask you. What are you pumping, right? Because you need to flow it back. If it is mechanical, you would need to talk a lot to your well intervention engineers. How are you going to run this tool downhole? So previously, sand screen installations were not common. So the first installation, you need to know how are they going to set it downhole, latch on to the intervention conveyance tools, things like that, right? And not to forget HSE, health, safety, environment. They need to be involved at every step. And in oil and gas industry, I think we have one of the strictest, the most stringent HSE requirements, right? So every single step along the way, we need to make sure the HSE checks are done. Because HSE can be a showstopper. If they see this thing is not safe to be installed, they can say stop, and you have to stop everything. So from day one, from getting the vendor to present the technology until implementation, it is a long process, right? So that is another thing that you guys need to keep in your mind when you look at technology. Now, new technology application is not always successful. Sorry that you guys can't see this, but it's not always successful, right? So whenever the vendors come and present, they're not going to talk to you about the failed cases, because you have to realize that the vendors, the service providers, they're salesmen, right? They want to sell. So you need to ask them, right? If you don't ask, they're not going to tell you. Don't even dream about them telling you, because they want to make sure they sell. That is their KPI. So it's up to you as the engineer to ask the right questions to figure out, will this work or not, right? So you have to always be ready on the technology potentially not working, right? So you need to ask, what is the appetite for a failed application? Are we allowed to fail, right? And what are the risks actually that are associated with failed application? For example, if you pump a chemical, is it going to damage my well? Is it going to cause irreversible damage to the well? That means, am I going to, if let's say my well is producing 5 million cubic feet per day, right? If I pump this chemical, is it, and if let's say it don't work as, for example, let's say it's an acidizing, right? You're going to acidize the well. Acidizing should improve my production of the well. But there have been cases where acidizing actually caused more damage, right? So if that's the case, how are we going to lose production, right? So I'm not going to answer all these questions because it varies from case to case. But just to give you a little bit of a flavor on the risk involved, let's take a well that has production of 5 million cubic feet. Now, 5 million cubic feet is actually on the spectrum of production, it's on the lower side, right? Because I have wells currently that are producing about 30 million. There are wells in Petronas that we have some wells that are producing 100 million. So 5 is in the lower end of things. But even let's say you take a weak well, right? 5 million scuff. This 5 million scuff actually generates a revenue of 2.3 million ringgit a month, right? And now if you take that 5 million and you times by a whole year, this one well generates about 27.6 million a year. So now, if you ask this question, right, is it going to damage the well? Is it going to cause irreversible damage? Essentially, a company is asking you, are you willing to risk this 27.6 million a year for maybe an additional 27.6 million? Because maybe if you acidize, you could improve your production to 10 million, right? That means you're getting an additional 27. But there is a chance that you might lose this completely altogether. So that's something to think about, right? When you bring new technology. So I want to talk about my technology during my early career at gas lift. Home assisted gas lift, we did it in 2 wells. And we did it in 2 wells. It was very successful in one. It actually doubled the production. So I was happy because I was offshore during the implementation, and I was excited to go tell my boss, like, hey, we have a successful well. But in the second well, it didn't do anything to it. There was zero improvement. There was nothing. Nothing happened. It's like we didn't do it, right? But luckily for us at that time, when we did the study, we know that this chemical, if let's say it doesn't work, it's not going to damage the well. So we didn't lose the well. Still was flowing. It's just that we didn't do anything, right? So we just lost a little bit of money from buying the chemicals. But luckily at that time, it was very well established that, hey, this is going to be a pilot. We are prepared to have some failed cases, right? But the beauty about it is that we learned so much more from the failed well than the successful well. Okay, so that carries on into the next part. For technology implementation, if you want to pilot something or not, for me, in my opinion, the most crucial part is the candidate selection. However, candidate selection is most of the time it is overlooked, right? Because why? Because when you look at that risk earlier, right? Do we want to, let me go back here. Do we want to risk this revenue? So just to reduce the amount of risk we are risking, right? What we tend, the general train of thought is, let's implement this because an idle well is not producing, so we are not losing any production. But if we can reactivate it, we get additional production, right? So that is a very common train of thought. But the challenge there is that sometimes idle wells are idle for a reason. Sometimes the reason is known. Sometimes we think we know the reason, but reality, that may not be the reason it's idle. So when we talk about idle wells, again, remember I talked about foam assisted gas lift. One well, extremely great results. One well did not work well at all. When we dig a little bit deeper in that well that didn't work, we found out that that well had other issues. I think there was the gas lift was robbing. So there was a short string and long string. The short string was taking all of the gas. So there was no gas lift into the long string. Just because the technology didn't work in that well, that actually would give a bad name to the technology, right? Because people who don't know the details, they might hear, we tried this technology in this well, it didn't work, without even going into the details. And it's not because of anything, because sometimes the details is hard to find, things like that. But most of the time, that's what happens when you talk about technology. Technology is only known best from its last failure, right? So this is something that you need to think about. Now, I've talked a lot about idle wells not being the best candidate, right? But again, doing well, which is flowing well, right? There's no issue. So why am I going to go and mess with that well? So it always comes down to thinking, do I want to risk my revenue generation from that well earlier, flowing well, for a potential increase in production? Or do I want to risk just spending that money on the technology? Let's say it just costs 1 million. I spend 1 million, and if it don't work, at least I don't lose production. Yeah. So that's about as well when you come to technology. And when it comes to technology, also success criteria needs to be very clearly defined. Because the success criteria from the service providers versus the success criteria from us operators could be very different. For example, I have a evaluating, which is a rodless pump. The objective of it is for us to unload water, right? To just pump water out. This provider, all they are interested in is the amount of water we are able to unload, right? So for them, they told us pump out 150 barrels of water, we are happy because it's a proof of concept for them. For us, we have no value for water. Why am I going to water? So what? I want my well to flow. So for me, as the operator, as the well owner, I want my well to be flowing, right? So success criteria when it comes to choosing the candidate. So it is very difficult to get these two success criteria aligned. Sometimes they do. Time we try to force it in. which is why when you talk about technology, like for example, you go to conferences and you ask people about the technology, they'll tell you, oh, this was very successful. But then you go and ask the well owner and they say, no, this didn't work in my well. Because the idea of a successful technology implementation is different for them, right? So something else for you to think about. Now, technology hunting is very heavily driven by companies' direct management appetite. It's very true because now some management they're not interested in new technology. They just want to do the same things because the same things have been working. So why do we want to change what is not broken? And that is a perfectly fair approach as well. But everything that we do, even new technology, right? It needs to be justified. Now, and how you justify it, it's completely up to you. You could justify it from a problem-solving point of view, right? You could justify it from a long-term point of view. So then it comes back to your ability as an engineer to justify it, right? And then everything that we do in the company, you need to talk about value. And there's actually the next point, which I'll touch. The biggest thing we need to always, new technology is not cheap. It is not cheap. It's usually more expensive than whatever we do normally, right? And vendors or service providers, of course, they can give you a discount and all that, but they would almost never give it to you for free. As if you think about it, actually, like I still feel like service providers should give us the technologies that they want to try for free, because I'm risking my well and you are risking your technology. So I think it's a win-win, right? But it's never the case. Everyone, service providers money, so that's how they do it. So they could come and give us a discount, but usually the bigger discount comes on volume. That means like if we do it in one well, you probably won't get a discount. But if you tell them, I have 20 wells that I want to do it in, then they would give you a huge discount. When you talk to management, and I like to make this joke because this is what I feel management always wants, right? They want everything under the sun. And when I say that, I mean that, of course, every manager likes, I want to increase my production, but how much are you willing to spend? Zero. I don't want to spend anything, but I want to increase production. So that is the ideal case, which management loves. But that's not realistic. But they want to keep it as close as possible to that. So, in another way of saying it is that we need to find a technology that is possible, but while increasing our production, right? The second question also that we need, okay, like for example, I said earlier, shallow plastic field have sand problem, a lot of sand, right? Does management also see that this is a problem? Because, for example, when I was in shallow plastic, I could build a case saying half my wells are idle. These are my locked-in potentials. This is my case, right? So this is why I need this technology to come in. Fast forward now, Carigali has is trying to bring in this technology, chemical sand control, because we have a lot of sand production, but the sand that is being produced are very fine sand that you cannot just install sand screen. So we need chemicals to keep the sand in place, right? And I thought it was something that would benefit us. But when I spoke to management, tried to build a case, they did not see it as serious of a problem, because we are, in Carigali Heads, we are producing a lot of sand. But our facilities are actually built to manage the sand at surface. So you don't have as much damage to facilities compared to if you control sand or you don't control sand. So their approach is to manage sand at surface. So for that reason, they're like, no, let's just focus our effort elsewhere. So that's why, management will always ask, is the money better spent elsewhere? Now, one thing to remember is that although big companies, big organizations, you would feel that the money is unlimited, but there's always limited money, right? And as management, not me, of course, management, their job is to figure out where is best they spend that money, right? And that brings us into the most important point of all. New technology has to be anchored by value. Because there's no such thing as bringing in a technology because it's cool, right? Because it solves problems. Now, companies such as Petronas or any other company, you have to remember that they are a business. We are a business. So whatever that we do, there must be value creation to the business. And how value is created to the business is you need to be ready to build a business, create the value. And the value has to be from an economic standpoint. You can look at it from a different perspective where the bosses or the management are investors, right? So you're trying to tell them, okay, if you invest your money here, this is how much your return on investment is going to be, right? So usually in the oil and gas industry, at least in Petronas, yeah, we look at the NPV, net, and sometimes we look at the UEC as well. UEC is the unit enhancement cost, right? So you could have actually a great technology. Let's say you have a great technology, it solves every problem, it doubles your production, but it's extremely expensive. So this is where we actually perform economic analysis, the value of it, right? So for example, I added two very arbitrary numbers, right? I just plucked from the sky, but just to stimulate some thinking. Let's say you're the managers, right? You're the management. I have two proposals. One is an add perforation, another perforation interval. It's going to cost me about 500,000. But the NPV I get from it is about get my payout. That means my return on the 500K in 2 months. And my UEC is about 1 ringgit per barrel. So this is my enhancement cost. That means for every 1 ringgit I spend, I get 1 barrel. Whereas I have somebody like myself, I come with the new technology, right? I spend 2 million ringgit on that technology, but my NPV, my return is only going to be 2 million. And I'm going to get my payout in about 5 months, which is slightly longer, 2 ringgit per barrel. If I'm a manager, it's almost like a no-brainer that I'm going to pick this one. I'm not interested in the new technology because this generates money, it increases my production, it meets all my economic criteria. But let's just say the tables are turned a little bit, right? Let's say this costs 2 million, but my NPV from this is 10 million, right? And my UEC, let's say, is 1:1. So now it becomes interesting because it's actually going to give me a lot more money compared to a simple add perforation. So now I'd be more interested. Okay, technology. Let me look at how this can be implemented. So now, not only you have that new technology endorsed by management, but trust me, once management buys in, they will help you push that technology through, right? So this is why I always like to emphasize that your technical is important when it comes to new technology or anything else, your day-to-day work. Your technical is important, but you need to have a good commercial sense on how this is going to create value. Yeah. Another thing to think about. Now, I'm going to run you through. Wait, do I have time, Ziao? I've been talking for so long. Oh, there.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay. How much time do I have left?
Around 20 to 25 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I'll need another 10 minutes. All right. So let me just show you an example of one of the new technology that I presented to management early this year. Just to give you through a flavor of how the case was built, right? So the technology that I have presented was velocity string. So velocity string is something that is really not, it's not new in the industry, but it is new in our area for the most part. Applications in our area, and especially in HES, where I'm at now, this has never been implemented. But essentially what it is, it's a way to resolve within the tubing. And what it is that you're installing just like a smaller tubing. So you have your production tubing, a smaller tubing within it, right? And what it does is that it increases your flow velocity. Velocity exceeds the turner velocity, you would avoid your liquid loading issues. Well, so essentially you're making your flow faster, right? You're not producing more, but it's producing faster. So this presentation I had to present to the GM general manager, who was not from subsurface, the head of operations, head of business development. Okay. So I had to make the presentation a bit less technical, a bit more relatable, right? So I'm not going to talk you through the whole thing, but so just to share, this was initially technology, the concept of the technology. Then I brought them into a simplified technical explanation, right? What are the effects of installing this? So the turner rate, without making it too complicated, the turner rate is the rate at which if I flow above turner rate, I'm able to carry surface. But if I flow below my turner rate, my liquid is going to start falling back and building in my tubing. And in a gas well, when you have liquid in your tubing, it kills off your well very fast. So I demonstrated that with the current completion, of course, with all the calculation and modeling behind it, these are my turner rates as you go within your tubing, right? So we're looking at about 9 million. I need to be producing at about, so I say here 7.5, so somewhere here. So essentially to lift half of it, lift it up, and hopefully the velocity will carry it all the way to the surface. But as the well kind of declines, usually water production comes in when your gas is declining. For you to achieve 7.5 million is quite difficult, right? So which is why we need to install this velocity string. With velocity string, this is the new completion. I reduced my tubing internal diameter. And now that this is my turner rate will be about 1 million scuff. So at late life wells, even though if I'm flowing at 3.5 million, I can still flow my well very healthily, right? Above the turner rate. So if you look at, if I say I'm producing about 4 million, with the current completion, I'm going to start loading up my well with water, but with the new completion, I can flow very healthily. So this will help me sustain my production longer, right? So that covered the technical side. We also had to provide a business case, right? So this was an example. This is how much it's going to cost to install the velocity string in one well, right? Approximately about 1.15 million USD. So it's about 4 to 5 million, roughly, ringgit. But I demonstrated that with an uplift, let's say post-installation, I get to flow about 5 million scuff, right? I get my payout within 2 months and I get about 6.4 million USD revenue. No, this is not revenue, net present value. This is my net cash flow. That means after you take off the investment and all. So I generate a surplus of 6.4 million USD. If let's say my modeling is not so accurate, I'm only producing about 3 million, I still get to generate about 3.4 million USD, my net cash flow, right? And let's say, the well is producing even worse than expected at 1.5 million. I still get to generate my revenue at 1.1 million. So this was accepted very well by management, right? Because it's not about how much money you spend. Sometimes, even if I say it's 5 million USD, but if I can prove or I can demonstrate that this is going to generate revenue, I really care that it's 5 million USD. But if I show them that, at 5 million, I only generate revenue only in the high case, then they might be a bit skeptical. So this was just an example of like a new technology presentation that I had to present to management early this year, to try and push this proposal through. Yeah. So, long story short, I know it's been a very long story, but these are the key takeaways that, if let's say you forget about everything I told you about, if you remember these four, I think you're set if you want to explore new. So it has to be driven by problem solving. So it has to be a problem and it has to be generally recognized as a problem that's big enough to be solved, right? So you need to identify the problem. Then you need to demonstrate value as well, short term or long term, right? So for example, if you look at this economics, right, you could take it in many different directions. So I just wanted to do a very high level one for one well. Now, you could also replicate this, say that, if we install in 10 wells, what will be the investment? What will be the revenue? Because each well, you have different uplift. So it's all about how you build that business case, right? Technology application also needs to align with management appetite and company direction. Because sometimes maybe you would go through a year where your production targets, your OPEX is lower, which means you don't have much money to spend. You prefer to spend that money on common things, right? So you definitely, if you can get the buy-in of your management and if it's aligned with the company direction, then things will move a lot smoother, right? But always be prepared for failed applications, because in every exam, you cannot always, they are going to fail one way or another. But most importantly is understanding why they fail. Because in my first application of the foam assisted gas lift, when I implemented it, I was offshore and it worked in one well, it didn't work in one well. So my first application, it was successful. I was excited. I came back to office. I spoke to one of my mentors, who's a principal production technologist. Very nice guy, but very blunt. Because I was very excited, and the first thing I told him, I was like, "Hey, it worked very well in one of the wells." He didn't care about the well that was successful, but he asked me, "What about the well that was not successful?" And I was like, "I don't know. It didn't work." And granted, this was like less than a year in the company. I said, "I don't know." And he asked me to my face, he's like, "Were you offshore?" He's like, "If I was offshore, I wouldn't be able to sleep without figuring out why the well didn't work." And I was like, "Oh, wow." And he actually like scolded me for a good like 10, 15. And he told me, "You go find out why it didn't work and then you come talk to me." But it was rightfully so, right? Because as soon as we found out why it didn't work, And as soon as I found out, I went and spoke to him and said, hey, this is why I think it didn't work. And he was very happy. He immediately said, okay, let's write a paper, let's present to management, because, you know, ultimately that's what management really know, right? If the money, you're not getting the investment back, what happened, right? So I think it was very fair. Of course, I was a bit sad, but it was very fair. Yeah. And finally, you need to understand your technology very thoroughly, because after the service provider is presented to you, you are now the salesman to go and present on it. And you must be prepared to answer any question that may come your way. Yeah. So that's all about technology. Now, I wanted to share some survival tips since you're all students and you're all in a good position. I think you're all going to be great, because the fact that you all are here watching a movie says a lot, right? But these are some of the tips that I wanted to share with you guys. Just, you know, while you are in your studies, I heard one of you was like a first year. So one thing that I would love for you all to do is, number one, make sure that you are all fundamentally strong, right? Fundamentally meaning you learn your basics. Forget your basics, because honestly, when you come into the industry, sometimes we don't really focus on the basics. We start learning all the advanced stuffs, right? But the basics are actually that you build your advanced stuffs on. But you need to make sure your fundamentals are strong, because you would be in situations, and I've been in many situations, where I'm in a room and I am the only person from subsurface, and they have asked me subsurface related questions. And thankfully, I've been able to handle, or at least, sorry for my language, but like bullshit believably. Right? But yeah, make sure you're fundamentally strong. Don't forget your fundamentals. That's number one. Number two, work on your soft skills. Learn how to convey your message better. And for me, I think that's very important, because I have been in presentations, and this is also something that I'm still working on. It's a work in progress. But I've been in presentations when they're trying to tell me something, but because they're unable to convey it, I'm very confused. I walk out of the meeting more confused. So you definitely don't want that. Work on your soft skills. It might not be so much emphasized in your classes, but especially on your presentation skills. Yeah. Broaden your horizon. Don't only focus on technical, because technical will only take you so far. Learning how the commercial sense comes in also plays a very technical and commercial. I always look at them as both can influence each other, right? If the proposal is technically strong, but commercial is bad, it's not gonna fly. And at the same time, if the commercial is strong, technical is bad, it's not gonna fly as well. So this two really goes hand in hand. And this is something that I didn't learn in Tulsa, right? Maybe UTM teaches you this very well, but I didn't learn this in Tulsa. So when I started going to school, going to work, that's when I started learning a lot about the commercial sense, right? And the next one, learn to see both, right? And the way I try to do this is that I put myself in the role of management, right? From management perspective, if I see this proposal, is this something that I would invest in or not, right? So that's always, in fact, in everything that you do when you start working, right? Whatever you do, is that something that if you're the manager, would you be happy with that? So you need to learn to put yourself in different shoes and look at all the different perspectives around your proposal. And finally, be confident if you have many proposals that you're going to management to present, be confident. Don't be scared. I say management a lot. And sometimes management can be scary, right? Because you could be an executive and they could be a general manager or a senior general manager, and they could be someone who's like very grumpy, scolding you. Try not to let that all mess with your mind, right? Because all of that is very intimidating. And when you go, sometimes you get asked one or two questions and you get very disorientated. And this used to happen to me, especially as a young engineer. But now, do is say, you know, this is my presentation. I prepared it. So, of course, I know the material better than anybody else. And, you know, if you go in and they end up scolding you, you know, we've all been scolded before. Nothing new, right? So be confident with your material. Be well prepared. And I think you guys will do great. And that should be all that I have for you. I hope it was a good session. Sorry if I was all over the place. All right. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sarran, for the enlightening presentation. We will now move on to the Q&A session, where our audience will have the opportunity to engage with Mr. Sarran directly. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box or use the raise hand feature, and we'll invite you to unmute and ask your question live.
Yeah, please don't ask tough questions. It's a Saturday.
Hi, Mr. Saran. I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So usually how long or how much will be given by the company just for a single implementation in the industry?
How much you mean from a money sense?
And also in a period of time, how long?
Usually the faster the better, right? If you ask management, they will want it yesterday. So that's why it depends. It really depends on the proposal you bring forward. And, you know, if sometimes the problem that needs a solution now, they would want it faster. But of course, if it's something, a new technology that can wait, and sometimes things have long lead items. So there's really not a fixed limit of like a time. And also even from the money sense, if you can justify it from like a commercial point of view, or you can justify it in terms of having a proper, usually there's really no limit. But of course, if you show up to management like, hey, I need 10 million USD, first react, there's a lot of money, right? But no, I think there's not really a limit on timeline or money involved.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Saran, for the answer.
Thank you. I think they asked all the questions to Shahida already. Good. Is this for me, Mira? All right, let's read. As a fresh graduate with no prior work experience, would it be better to focus on obtaining the basic offshore licenses first, such as POSE? Notice that many job postings prefer candidates who already have some work experience and hold this basic license. Securing the license beforehand, is it more advisable to apply for entry? Okay. So your first question, it depends on what you want to do, right? So like for example, for me, I usually once I start working, if I want to go offshore, the company would pay for you to get your BOSET, your offshore safety passport, and all of the other required certifications. So such as I think I had to do H2S training and all that. But there are companies that hire freelance offshore workers. So they would prefer if you have all that certification first because they don't want to pay for your certification. So if that is something you, I wouldn't recommend it for a PE graduate because those are usually like hard labor work that they want you to go offshore to do scaffolding and things like that. I would personally recommend to hold on first, try to get into a company. And if let's say usually companies are willing to pay for your BOSET and other certifications before they send you offshore. It's part of their responsibility to an extent. Yeah. Unless you want to work as a technician or scaffolding in the middle of the sea, then you can. But wait and join a company first. Current industry trends, which positions are currently most in demand, and which role for the highest salaries? Oof. I'll say CEOs. CEOs make a lot of money. Oh, to be okay. I think Shahida kind of covered it a little bit. If you look at the oil and gas industry, the offshore position almost always make more money than the office-based positions. So for example, I know if you work as a if you work with Schlumberger as their offshore crew. So for example, like a wireline engineer, you make a lot of money because you get paid to go offshore. You also get paid like a job bonus, and wireline jobs are not cheap, and you get a percentage of paid directly to you. So you get paid a lot of money, but you have zero life. I know a friend who had to fake a surgery to get out of work. That's how bad it is because this girl, she was a LWD, LWD, LWD engineer, logging, drilling, rich Schlumberger. So they sent her to like for a whole month, and then she comes back. And within 2-3 days, they say no, you have to go to Terengganu. And she goes there for a month, and then she comes back. And within 2-3 days, they send her back to Abu Dhabi, right? So the more money you get paid, the more you are needed to work. So it depends on the lifestyle. So I would say, yeah, offshore positions pay a. If you work with like service companies like Schlumberger, you work a lot. I hope that answers your question. You're welcome. Yes, seeing. Why is the execution of new technology often more challenging than discovery itself? I think it's just because, number one, it's natural. I think it's quite natural for people to be scared of new things. For example, like AI. I know I didn't want to talk about AI, but there's a lot of fear surrounding something new. Is it going to take over our job? Is it going to make us obsolete? So I think whatever new technology that, in my experience, that I've brought number one always met with fear, right? Is this really going to work? But the fears have always been kind of justified, right? And from the guys with the most experience, because they've seen things happen. So I think, in my opinion, I think that is why, number one, the fear of the unknown, right? Fear of something new, which is why, like, whenever you come in with a new technology, you have to really be prepared to stand with it. And every time you present, you're gonna be hit with a new question, right? But you present it enough times, and you would start learning more and more about it. But if it's really a good, usually they don't really oppose to it so much. One thing, and number two, the processes. I mentioned earlier, implementing new technology is a deviation normal procedure. So everybody, even HSE, they would need to do their due diligence to make sure this is something that is safe to be implemented and can be implemented without any long-term damages. Yeah.
I would like to ask Mr. Sarran, do environmental concerns and sustainability goals influence like technology adoption in the oil and gas industry?
The first term, sustainability and
Do environmental concerns and sustainability goals influence like technology adoption in the oil and gas industry?
this is recorded, then yes. So usually, sustainability and like the environmental elements, there's actually a lot of that impact in our production. So for example, we are allowed to dispose water to the ocean, but the Department of Environment, DOE, has a limit on much oil percentage in water you are allowed to have. So we can't dump just water and oil, all of it, into the ocean. Of course, dump board is like the least favorite method. It's the last resort. That's when we dump, right? So usually we dispose it using other ways. So usually when there's a regulation that comes in, right? If there's a regulation that comes in and we are unable to, let's say, meet that criteria naturally using our normal practices, then we would start exploring, right? So usually regulation plays a big part. And for example, the whole of CCS technology, it all started with regulation, right? Because of the whole carbon tax things that was gonna come around. So that really drove the whole CCS exploration. And man, CCS is also not cheap. Not cheap. If you think normal projects are expensive, at least 5 times normal project. So it was only made possible because of regulation. In my opinion, again, this is my opinion, if you take out the regulation, there wouldn't be CCS. So yeah, I think it has to be driven by a regulation.
Thank you, Mr. Sarran.
Problem. I think everybody's tired already.
I guess that's the end of the Q&A session. Before we move on, I would like to sincerely thank everyone for your active participation and thoughtful questions during the Q&A session. Your engagement truly enriched the discussion, and we appreciate your cooperation in making this session interactive and meaningful. As a gesture of genuine appreciation, I would like to extend an invitation to the Administrative Secretary of SPE-UTM SC, Ms. Nur Iman Kristina binti Ahmad Ramli, to present the e-certificates to our esteemed speakers for today's event. Ms. Iman Kristina, you may turn on your camera now. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. Shahida Sulleh. You may turn on your camera now. Thank you, Ms. Shahida Sulleh. Now, I would like to call upon Mr. Sarran Raj. You may turn on your camera now. Thank you very much to our speakers. I hope everyone has gained valuable insights from today's session. We also look forward to future collaborations with our esteemed speakers. These partnerships will not only enhance our knowledge, but also provide valuable opportunities and benefits for the members of SPE-UTM SC, helping us grow both professionally and academically. Moving on to our next agenda, we'll now begin the photography session with all our esteemed speakers and participants. We kindly invite everyone to turn on your cameras and join us in capturing this wonderful moment. Let's count it out. 3, 2, 1. We'll take a few moments to ensure everyone is ready. Feel free to show your brightest smiles and enthusiasm. I might even give a friendly shout out to a few names, so do not hesitate to join in the audience. Let's get it ready. 3, 2, 1. Now, let's make it extra special by using the mini heart gesture to celebrate the success of the SPE-UTM Talk 2025. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Thank you all for your fantastic energy and for making this photography session truly memorable. Your enthusiasm and spirit have made this event even more remarkable. Before we end this session, participants are kindly requested to scan the QR code displayed on the screen to provide feedback for today's event. Your feedback will serve as your attendance for UTM merit. Please take a moment to do so now. You are given 2 minutes to scan the code. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of today's session, allow me to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to all of you for being with us throughout this insightful event. First and foremost, a special thank you goes to our esteemed speakers for sharing his expertise, experience, and valuable perspectives with us. Your presentation today was truly engaging and thought-provoking, and we are incredibly grateful for the time and effort you have dedicated to making this session a success. To our wonderful audience, thank you for your active participation, thoughtful questions, and for contributing to the vibrant exchange of ideas during the Q&A session. Your presence and engagement have made this talk more meaningful and dynamic. We would also like to thank everyone behind the scenes, the organizing team, technical support, and moderators for ensuring everything runs smoothly. Events like this are only possible with the combined effort and commitment of many individuals working together. Although our session today has ended, we hope that the knowledge shared and the conversation sparks will continue to inspire you in your own professional and academic journeys. Before we part ways, please do stay connected with us for future events and discussions. We look forward to welcoming you again. Once again, thank you all for being here. Have a great day ahead and please stay safe and well. With that, we officially conclude today's talk. Take care and goodbye for now.
Thank you, Ms. Shahida and Mr. Sarran. Thank you. Thank you for today's.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.